It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Conversations with Joan. Conversations with Joan will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life's Conversations with Joan. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Conversations with Joan focuses on topics that are important to your life, from health and wellness to professional development to personal well-being. Change makers join me to share their insights, tips, and strategies so you can thrive and live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. Now, let's start talking. Most people think of courage as going into combat or being a first responder, but according to today's guest, Ken Foster, true courage pushes us past our personal limitations so we can transcend difficulties and open up substantial opportunities. Ken joins us to provide proven wealth strategies and success principles to help us stand in our strength, awaken our inner genius, and fast-track our success. Ken is a business strategist and syndicated radio host. He is the best-selling author of 7 books, including The Courage to Change Everything. Welcome, Ken. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Joan. It's a pleasure to be on your show today.
So, Ken, let's begin by talking a little bit about you. What led you to the path of helping people transform their lives?
Well, what led me was I was in a lot of pain, and I was looking for a way out. Back in the early 90s, I was in a therapy session, actually ongoing therapy with a psychiatrist, and I wasn't in a good place. My relationships weren't working. Make a lot of money. I spent a lot of money. I was feeling that my creativity was stifled. I'd lost my purpose in life. And so I'm going to this therapist, and what happened is one day I start hearing this little voice that says, you've got to feel the pain to make the change. So I go to the doctor, I tell him what I hear, and he says, Ken, I can't do anything more for you. You have to follow that voice. Now, remember, I'd been seeing him for a year, so I'm walking out of his office thinking, this is crazy. He's telling me to follow some voice? Well, that was the voice of courage. That was the voice of truth and wisdom. That was the inner that little still voice we all have within us. And I did start following that voice, and soon my life got better and better and better. And I realized at that moment that my life had been run on a lot of ego and thinking what's best for Ken. And when I surrendered to that voice, I started getting tuned into that inner wisdom that guides us all.
Well, and I love the way you describe that, Ken, because I think most of us get that messaging. We get that voice, but we don't pay attention to it. I know in my own life, after 23 years of marriage, I had given so much of myself to my husband and children that I lost who I was. And similar to you, I had a voice that said, you can't go on like this, because if you continue to, you will be gone. And I honestly wasn't sure I would be able to find myself again. So I do think we often get the type of messaging that you described, but you know, as you say, it takes courage to follow that. I had to give up everything to follow it. So
yeah, well, I had to give up everything too, just like you, Joan. I was in a place where that little voice of courage kept whispering. And listen, I was in a lot of pain. So I'm hearing a voice that says you've got to feel the pain to make the change. What was that really telling me? It was really telling me that I was trying to cut off duality. We live in duality, right? Light, dark, up, down, left, right. I was trying to, in pain and pleasure, I was trying to just live in a pleasurable side of life, not really wanting to grow or evolve or change or do anything. I didn't want that. I just wanted to have fun. And what I found is that just chasing fun led me down a path where, just like you, I just lost myself. Mm-hmm. I didn't know who I was anymore.
Do you think a lot of people live in that state that you and I found ourselves in, and they continue to do that for the rest of their life?
I think it's a gift to be able to awaken from that state. And I do believe that a lot of people are waking up right now. You know, pain is a great motivator. A lot of people have felt a lot of suffering. They've gone through a lot of struggle. They've gone through times when enough is just enough. They're kind of sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that state, and they're worried, they're fearful, they're concerned they're going to lose their health, and maybe they have lost their health as their loved ones. But that state is the state that seems to be a state where the mind becomes fertile again. The mind becomes open. Okay, I can't do this anymore. Just like you, I was in that place. I can't do this anymore. There must be a better way to live. And so the mind becomes open to searching for solutions at that point. So I think a lot of us in the world are going through that right now. I think a lot of people are. And it's time to find your courage, though, to walk into the unknown, just like you had to walk into the unknown because you didn't know where you're going to find yourself again. I didn't know how I was going to find myself, but I did know that the way I was living at that point in time was not an empowered life. It was a disempowered life that I kept trying to make better, but it was like taking, I don't know. It just was a terrible life. That's all.
Well, I think the important message in what you're saying, Ken, is that every person has the ability to enact that type of change. You know, somebody sitting home right now listening saying, well, sure, Ken, you could do it, or Joan, you could do it, but and I think the message is anyone can do it. Because when you did it, let me ask you, did you see a future for yourself when you were going through that time?
I didn't know what the future was.
Right.
I didn't know. I was taking one day at a time, and I was just planning to try to have a good day. That was it. Just trying to have a good day one day at a time. And, a lot of people are going through it, but there is a way out. The way out is to understand the power of the mind. We so downplay how powerful we are as infinite beings, I want to say. And, the mind is over our energy. So if we focus on the right attitude, if we focus on the right thoughts, right, we'll have better energy. So energy is over will. When you feel good, you start to increase your willpower, your strength, your power. And your willpower is over results. Results are over action, and action's over your destiny. But it all starts with the attitude. It starts with the mind. And that's what I had to learn. When I didn't know where I was going to go, and it was just living life just every day at a time, which I do today, by the way. I live just today. I have today. That's great. I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do today. Mm-hmm. But I had to learn how to wake up out of bed, for instance. And I give my mind a command. I'm awake, alert, and alive. Most people wake out of bed like I used to, like, oh, God, here comes another day. What am I going to do? I don't even want to get out of bed, right?
Right.
So we have to learn how to start to use the mind in powerful ways and, start to understand that the commands that we're giving our mind, like, for instance, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed out. Well, if you're giving your mind that command, what it's doing is releasing chemicals into your system. And what's happening is that your body is reflecting what you're thinking. So it really starts with the attitude. That's where it starts.
Well, and the examples you just gave, when I say two of the most powerful words in our language are I am, because what follows creates your identity. And the things that you just described, I am tired, I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not educated enough, all of those things we tell ourselves, that really creates the reality that we live.
It does. I remember early on, I went on, it was a 7-day mental diet by, who was the fellow? It was a Unity minister. Anyway, he challenged me for 7 days to just have positive thoughts, right? And, in the United States, we're taught to be critical thinkers. We are looking for what is wrong on a consistent basis. Most people are. And, that's okay. You can solve problems that way, but you might be miserable at the same time. So the challenge was 7 days not to dwell on a negative thought, right? And it was a subjective thing. I got to determine whether it was negative or not. But here's the kicker, is if I dwelled on these negative thoughts, right, then I'd have to start over, all right? And I had to wait a day or two to start over. Well, it took me a year to do that exercise. But I have to tell you, at the end of the year, when I actually completed 7 days in a row without having these negative thoughts, it was like taking a dark pair of sunglasses off I never knew I even had on. The consciousness of our mind create out pictures in our life. And when we are critical thinkers, when we start to worry, we're concerned, we're thinking the negative side of life. We're looking at things that, oh, that's going to stress me out. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, that's going to feel terrible. We have that mindset. We start judging people, places, and things. It impacts us. We feel it. And in those feelings will sometimes stay in our bodies for, most feelings, sociologists tell us, go through our bodies in about 90 seconds. But when we start to dwell on them, they stay in our body for a day, a week, a decade, right? So for me, it's overcoming those negative thoughts. That's the attitude. But like you said, it is the I am. I am fearless. I am courageous. I'm loving life. I'm all powerful. I feel love in my being, right? Try just living from that place. I feel God's love in me. Just live from there for a week. Try that. It'll shift everything.
Well, and taking the advice that you just offered, I mean, as you said before, 2020, I mean, if we learned anything in the past year, it's just truly how fragile life is. And so if there's something you want to do, I mean, do it now. What are we waiting for? And take the language that you're teaching us to use to empower us to move forward and really go after anything we want to achieve.
Well, listen, it all starts with courage, though, doesn't it? Courage to see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible. Now, see the unseeable. What is that? That's that fertile mind. Listen, if you think that life is just the way it is, you're wrong. Okay? You need to open your mind up again and see things differently. Look for goodness everywhere in this world. Look for beauty in this world. Look for something that you can do that you've never done before every day. That'll open your mind up again. And then you'll start knowing things that you didn't know before. And then you'll start to realize that within you is this genius, is this power, is this passion, this purpose that can open up your life in greater and greater and greater ways. My wife and I, when I first met her, Judy, we used to have an affirmation we used, and there's more. And we would say it together. And where there's two or more people gathered setting intention like that, it's very powerful. I have to tell you, at one point we went, enough. We can't keep saying this. Every day, so much amazing things would come to our lives, people, places, things, our dreams, anything we wanted seemed to just keep coming in more and more. We got to stop this. It's just too much. So the mind is really powerful if we're using it in the right way.
You've talked about the power of our thoughts and, realigning them to serve us well. But also, I think we have to let go of the past. You talk about dwelling on thoughts, but I think we also dwell on experiences, and often that holds us back from taking action.
Well, I've sure found that in my life. In fact, I created a program. It's called Release, Renew, Evolve, and we do need to release the past. And listen, what you can acknowledge, you can choose to release. The challenge is that when it's in the subconscious mind, and we allow it just to fester for decades or for even a day, that creates limitations in our life. That creates blocks to our success, whether it be in a relationship or in business or career or health. If you have these blocks underlying the surface, somebody like myself that's a master coach that can ask the specific questions and help pull that out from you, and you can acknowledge it, and you make a clear and present choice to change that. And then you don't look back, right? You don't go, is that still there? There's a part of us that need to develop faith, faith in things unseen, right? So that we can change what we think is so material, so real. Life is a school, right? And, we're all here experiencing, right? We're either growing and developing and learning, and we're profiting by the challenges that come to us, or we're looking at them in a negative way, and we're saying, why me? Why is this coming to me? I can't believe this is happening. We feel like victims of life. But to be a victor, you've got to shift that around. That's what I had to do in my life. I had to shift the thinking around and realize everything that's coming to me is coming to me for my own good, for my own growth, for my own power and passion. And, when you look at life that way, it's a little easier to get through some of the difficulties that we all go through.
Ken, I had to do the same. And I think what's so exciting, I created this brand and the radio show and the magazine and everything that I'm doing when I was in my early 40s after raising my family. So for 11 years, I've been doing something that was started at an age when most people are starting to think about winding down. And I think what's so exciting about our world today is that there are infinite possibilities for people of any age, and that we really shouldn't be looking for retirement. We should be looking for refirement.
Well, here's what I know is that there are 350,000 centurions on the planet right now. Most of them are vital, healthy, they're living purposeful lives. Right? They wouldn't get to 100 if they weren't. Age is something that we've been taught, especially in Western society, that at a certain age, you're going to start losing your vitality. At a certain age, your body's going to deteriorate. At a certain age, your hair is going to fall out. How much of that is mind over matter, and how much of that is matter over mind? It's a good question to ask yourself, because here's what I found, is that every year for decades now, I've gotten stronger and stronger and stronger, right? I'm a triathlete. I've been a triathlete. I started triathlons in my late 50s, okay? So, life is getting better and better. So the thing about age is a lot of it's made up. And again, I wouldn't have believed that when I first started on this path. But I've been able to, just like myself and many of my friends, have been able to heal things in their body, using their mind. We've been able to do things that most people my age would think, oh, that's impossible.
Ken, if you could summarize and bullet point your message about courage, what would you say?
I would say courage is an inner strength that needs to be developed. It's like a muscle. And if you let it atrophy, you will not have courage. But if you realize courage is what I call a divine strength, it's a strength that when you tap into that power that's within you, that energy that's within you, courage is a natural byproduct of that. So courage without wisdom is dangerous. I will say that. So you want to develop wisdom. You develop it three ways. You learn by others, you learn through trial and error, or you learn by quieting your mind, stilling your mind, going within, and learning to tap into the superconscious realms of consciousness, into higher states through meditation. So there's three ways you can learn it. But what will happen is that when you develop that wisdom, and here's what happens for me, I'll get an idea, right? Now to do that idea, and then it takes willpower to make it work, right? So we have to learn that inner game of using the mind to generate the successes that we want in our life.
The book is The Courage to Change Everything. If you would like to learn more about Ken and his work, you can visit kendfoster.com. And as always, you can visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, follow us on social media, and be sure to subscribe to our mailing list. Ken, thank you so much for joining us. It has really been a pleasure getting to know you and learning a little bit about what it is you teach.
Joan, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. You're one of the good ones that are bringing in some more wisdom, courage, understanding truth, and love in this world. Thank you. I commend you for that.
This is Conversations with Joan. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.